Hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of the Moore's October Rants. Today's episode is going to be titled Living Situations, because everybody has a different living situation. Some people still live with their parents, and that's one of the biggest topics about this video that I'm going to discuss, different living situations. A lot of people do live with their parents now, and a lot of the time, people will make fun of others for living with their parents and not living on their own. And it can be really easy to judge someone else's situation without knowing the full picture, you know? You have no idea why that person may still live with their parents, and it could be for a multitude of different reasons. It could be a financial situation where the person's low on money, so they're living with their parent to collect money and be in a better situation. They could live with their parent because their parent is older, or their parents are older, and they need assistance with the basics of everyday life. They need their help. There are so many different reasons why, and people just like to assume things. You have no idea why they're living with their parent, or maybe they just like living with their mom or dad. In certain cultures, it's very normal for people to live with their parents well beyond their adult life. It just depends on the culture. But even in America, if someone is living with their parents, but contributing to the household, paying bills, helping in some way, and it's a good situation for everyone involved, why does it really matter if someone lives with their parents? I remember I dated a woman who lived with her parents, and I was fine with it. She had her own money, she did her own thing, her parents were okay with it, everyone was fine. And who cares? I don't understand why people think that's a bad thing. I just don't get it. Living on your own is very difficult for some people. Living on your own is a challenge. Some people just can't live on their own. Some people just need someone to live with. They need to be around somebody. Living on your own can be a very big challenge. Also, you have to factor in the expenses. Living on your own can be very expensive. For some people, having their parents help them with rent, or maybe you pay a percentage of it. Like your parents want you to give them $200 a week or something like that, and they'll cover the rest. There are so many different scenarios. A lot of the reasons why more millennials are statistically moving in with their parents is because of financial issues. Like I said, there was a study, and they found that a little less than half of millennials live with their parents or something like that. And it's because of financial problems. Look at life in America in 2024. It's extremely expensive to live on your own. If you're going to live on your own, you have to pay a lot of money just for housing. If you're going to live in your own apartment, you have to pay at least $1,000 or more in rent. Let's say your rent is $1,300, and then you factor in the amount of food you eat. That's going to be like another $400 a month. So you're getting to almost $2,000 a month just to live. And that's just basic necessities, living and eating. Never mind car insurance, health insurance, putting gas in your car, and all the other things. It's very difficult for people to live on their own, especially if they don't have a lot of resources, or they don't have a lot of people to fall back on. So it's very ignorant to assume you know someone's situation when you don't know anything about it. You hear that they live with their parents, and you want to attack them. Everyone's living situation is different, and just because something is different doesn't make it wrong. That's something we need to understand as a society. Just because something is different to you doesn't make it bad or wrong. It's just something we do as a society. It's a joke, right? You'll hear it all the time. You probably live with your parents. You probably live in your mom's basement. Who gives a shit? That's supposed to mean you're a loser because you live in your mom's basement. You don't have a job. How are you going to assume that? And even if I did live in my mom's basement, maybe I do have a job. Maybe I work my fucking ass off and I live with my mom and I sleep down in the basement. Who gives a fuck? People are so petty about that kind of shit. And here's one more thing I wanted to add. You could live on your own. You could have your own place, pay all your own bills, cover car insurance, everything, and people are still going to fuck with you. They're still going to find things they don't like about you and say negative shit. So it doesn't really matter. People are going to talk shit about you regardless. I just don't understand why people do that when it comes to living situations. A lot of the time, people have different living situations, and just because you don't understand it doesn't make it wrong. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of Moore's October Rants. Signing out. Have a good one, guys. Goodbye.